Shields up, Iron Breakers. Rurikon here, coming at you with another edition of the Cons Cast. In today's episode, we're going to be doing a quick recap of everything that was shown yesterday at the Microsoft and Bethesda press conferences so that you can check it out for yourself in case there's something that you wish to delve into in further detail. But this is just going to be an extremely quick recap with not really all that much opinions thrown at it. Anyway, first thing that they shown at the Microsoft presser was the Outer Worlds. This game still looks amazing. It's going to be coming out on the 25th of October. I personally can't wait to play it. It looks hella good. The next thing that they showed us was from Ninja Theory, a new game called Bleeding Edge. It is a 4v4 online competitive melee game, and it is going to have its first tech alpha on the 27th of June. Next up, we have Ori and Will of the Wisps. They also showed us some new gameplay footage for this. It is going to be releasing on February 11th, 2020. Then they showed us Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, another trailer. I already talked at length about the gameplay that was shown for this game, and you guys can go watch that particular video if you're interested in it in my channel. They showed us a new game called Blair Witch. It's a horror game, reminded me a whole lot of Outlast, so if you're curious, you can check out more about that. They showed us Cyberpunk 2077, and that Keanu motherfucking Reeves is going to be in the game, and the game is releasing on the 16th of April 2020, and I cannot tell you how hyped up I am for Cyberpunk. I think pretty much everybody is. They showed us this Spiritfarer game, reminded me a little bit of Terraria. That is something that's going to be coming to Xbox and PC. They showed us new Battletoads that they're working on. Then they showed us this sketchbook type game, which is called, I believe, The Legend of Wright, Wright with a W. Then they showed us ID at Xbox, which had a bunch of indie games. The one that I personally liked the most, the one that seemed more interesting to me, was an indie game called Dead Static Drive. So that was really the one thing that popped up to me. Then they talked about the Xbox Game Pass, which is going to be coming to PC, which does seem like it's going to be a good deal. You can get a whole bunch of games for like $9.99 or whatever it was. And they also announced Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, which is going to combine pretty much everything from Xbox Gold in your Xbox One console, all of the perks that you get from that, together with the Xbox Game Pass for PC, and that was like $15 or something. So seems like good value to me, but that's going to vary from player to player whether or not that is a good deal for you. Also, on the topic of Game Pass, right now you can actually get your first month for $1. So, you know, there's that. You can check out the PC version, whatever, for $1 right now. Then they showed us a new Microsoft Flight Simulator that they're working on. There's going to be an Age of Empires 2 Remastered Edition, which is also going to include a new campaign. It was called something of the Cons, maybe Age of the Cons or something along those lines. Then they showed us, which one is this one? Wasteland 3. Which looked kind of like this XCOM looking game. So if you're into the XCOM style of games, maybe you want to check that out. I never really played Wasteland 1 or 2, so I don't know that much about it. They basically announced that Double Fine is joining up with the Xbox Game Studios, and also they then showed some Psychonauts 2 footage. They showed us a new Lego Star Wars game, which is going to include all 9 movies. It is called the Skywalker Saga, if I'm not mistaken. They showed us Dragon Ball Project Z Kakarot, which, to be honest, looked a lot like Xenoverse 3. As a matter of fact, I thought it was going to be Xenoverse 3. It's just like telling a lot of the Z saga, from what I could understand. But it is actually going to be an action RPG. So, yeah, I personally haven't looked in too much into Project Z, but it was shown at the Xbox presser. They showed this game, which is called 12 Minutes, and looks very interesting to me personally, because this is about a man who apparently is stuck living the same 12-minute loop where his wife gets killed by some mysterious stranger, and there's apparently all these different outcomes that you can have. Looks very interesting. I'd advise you guys to check out this one. At least personally, I thought it was interesting. Then they showed us Way to the Woods. This looks like Bambi Simulator 2020. They showed us Gears 5, and also like a new gameplay mode that you're going to have in multiplayer, which is like some competitive mode called Escape or something. Looked cool, but looked like Gears. Basically, if you enjoy Gears, you're probably going to enjoy this. And the game is going to be coming out on September 10th. They showed us a little bit more of Dying Light 2, which is going to be coming to us in spring of 2020. They showed us a new DLC for Forza Horizon 4, which is themed around Lego, as you can see here. That actually looked, it looked kind of cool. It looked cute. So, whether you like it or not is going to vary from person to person. They showed us the Gears of War Funko Pop game, which looked like your usual mobile trash. They showed us some State of Decay DLC, Heartland, so you guys can look more into that if you are curious. They showed us that apparently through Xbox, they're going to be bringing Phantasy Star Online 2 into the West. That is going to be releasing on spring 2020. It is also going to be available on PC naturally, but it is Xbox and PC. There was no mention of PlayStation because this is the Xbox presser, so I'm still waiting to know if there is going to be like a PlayStation version or not. What is the deal with that? We'll see. Then they showed us this game called Crossfire X that they're also bringing over to Xbox, which according to what my chat has told me, it is basically a free-to-play trash version of Counter-Strike Go. Then they showed us Tales of Arise, which actually looks really friggin' sweet. Now, I know that you guys may know about the Tales of games and all of that stuff, but this one looks to be a little bit more action-y, if I was to say, but I honestly don't know. I haven't played a Tales game in quite some time, but I do like Tales games, so Tales of Arise is looking pretty damn good. It is going to be coming out at some time in 2020. That was the only date that we got. They showed us a new trailer for Borderlands 3 as well as announced some special DLC for Borderlands 2, which should be available now for free if you own the Handsome Jack collection. So you can just go and download that if you are interested in that. I believe it should also be available for PC. I think Handsome Jack collection is also on PC. I don't know if that's just a console thing or not. Either way, then they showed us what is probably the thing that I'm most hyped for, the thing that most of you are most likely hyped for, which is Elden Ring, the collaboration between George R.R. Martin and Hidetaka Miyazaki. It is basically the next From Software game. Personally, I'm mega hyped. The development on this game actually began shortly after Dark Souls 3 DLC, so it's been in development parallel to Sekiro. Interestingly enough, there appears to also be a character that doesn't have an arm. So there you go. There's that. But I will be making like a separate video analyzing everything that there is to know about the Elden Ring. So look forward to that. They then talked about their project Scarlett, which appears to be a really powerful, beefy console they're working on. One of the things that was mentioned that kind of surprised me that I wasn't expecting because it wasn't mentioned on PlayStation was 120 FPS. They also talked about 8K, very much like PlayStation has touted 8K. Which we all know isn't really going to happen. At least I don't believe that it's going to happen, but I'm ready to be proven wrong. But either way, Project Scarlett will be releasing on holiday 2020. And right alongside it, Halo Infinite will be launching with Project Scarlett. I assume that Halo Infinite will still be compatible with your Xbox One X or your Xbox One S or your Xbox One, whatever. It should be backwards compatible, but probably it's going to look and run a whole lot better on Project Scarlett, as is to be expected. This is naturally what they closed their presentation with. At some point, either during the Microsoft press conference or shortly after, it was announced the release date for Final Fantasy VII Remake, which is going to be releasing on the 3rd of March 2020. This is interesting because it makes the release date look like 2020 and then 0303, so whatever. But yeah, that's when it is going to be releasing. I still believe that it is going to be like an episodic type thing, so how much of the game is releasing then, how much of the game will release later, I don't know. I haven't looked into that information all that much. Like I said, this is a quick recap. I'm not going to be going too much in depth. And then I entered the Twilight Zone, and I say this because pretty much everything that was being announced at the Bethesda press conference was being met with overwhelming cheer and applause, which was extremely surprising when you're talking about things like Fallout 76 and Elder Scrolls Blades. And if you take a quick glance at the audience in this particular press conference, you will notice that it is pretty much constituted of Bethesda employees and what could only be described as paid actors as far as I'm concerned. But either way, there was a whole lot of cheering for Fallout 76 and Blades. Like I said, one of the new things that was announced for Fallout 76 was that they are bringing NPCs into the game, which was something that they said they weren't going to do because it made absolutely no sense whatsoever. Turns out it does make sense if your community does enough noise. And besides NPCs, they're also bringing the mandatory Battle Royale mode, which is going to be a 52-player Battle Royale mode, which is, I have no words. Okay, I just have no words. I'm sorry. Feels bad, man. Anyway, they then talked about Elder Scrolls Blades and how it's going to be coming to the Nintendo Switch. I didn't really memorize the date, and I wouldn't want to tell you guys the date because I don't want you to install garbage onto your Nintendo Switch. So there you go. Elder Scrolls Blades is getting a bunch of new content, which people cheered vehemently. There was this one guy that just kept screaming in the audience every time they said anything. They're like, yeah, fucking new loot boxes. Guy's like, yeah. So yeah, there you go. They also announced a new garbage mobile game from the Commander Keen franchise, which is apparently designed to take advantage of your children so that they become addicted to microtransactions. I would not advise you to let your children play this game, but that is just me. Maybe I'm just a cynical little bastard. That is what it is. Ghostwire Tokyo, on the other hand, this game actually looked pretty friggin' interesting. Just the concept of it. It's apparently a bunch of people are disappearing in Tokyo, and you have to investigate, and you're going to have to talk with some spirits. You're going to have to kill other spirits. It looked like an interesting concept. Whether it is going to work or not, we shall see. And also, the female hostess that was presenting this particular game, she was very kawaii. Anyway, moving right along, the next thing that was shown was they talked a whole bunch about Elder Scrolls Online elsewhere. They talked about some new stuff that was coming to that game, and that looks interesting. I've always been somewhat interested in Elder Scrolls Online, even though I haven't really delved into it all that much. Then they talked about Elder Scrolls Legends, which is their card game, and some content that's coming for that. Don't really care all that much. Then they talked about some Rage 2 DLC that is coming, in which they're apparently giving you a mech that you can actually play in, as well as a bunch of new vehicles and stuff. Looked interesting. If you're into Rage 2, you're probably going to enjoy this new DLC and just stuff that is going to make the Wasteland more interesting from what they were talking about. Wolfenstein Youngblood looks friggin' awesome as far as I can tell. Like, I like Wolfenstein. I think Wolfenstein looks amazing. Even though I know that I don't do a lot of content around it, I do like Wolfenstein, and I think it is a pretty good game. It's going to be coming simultaneously to the Switch this time around, as opposed to a delayed release like they had last time with Wolfenstein 2, and it is going to be releasing on the 26th of July. Looks like a very interesting game, and it is going to feature two-player co-op, as probably most of you already know. They also announced this other game called Deathloop. This is by Arcane Studios, the people who have done Dishonored as well as Prey. And I suspect that you will be able to play with one of the two characters that was present in the trailer. There were two characters, and apparently they're locked in this never-ending conflict. This is like a time loop, and apparently it resets every time one of the characters kills each other. But, you know, just the concept of the game seems very interesting. These two characters kind of like locked in conflict and constantly evolving, escalating the whole thing until, I don't know, until something happens, until the story evolves. I'm very curious for this game. It definitely looked very, very interesting. So here's the thing, like the Bethesda press conference was extremely cynical in terms of like the audience that was there constantly cheering for everything that was being announced and all of that, because you can't tell me that people are like mega hyper excited about fucking Elder Scrolls Blades. But the new games that were there were actually interesting, such as Ghostwire Tokyo, as well as Deathloop, and you know, some of the mainstays like Wolfenstein, also pretty fucking sweet, and Doom Eternal, and Deathloop and all of that stuff. But anyways, Doom Eternal is going to be released on the 22nd of November. And this time you're going to be able to go not only to hell, but also to heaven. And you're going to get to kill angels and do all of that stuff. So the game looks pretty good. One of the things that I would emphasize that I've seen in the trailers is definitely their increased reliance on making your character more mobile by allowing you to like jump onto these poles and propelling yourself, and some other things like the forward dash in the middle of a jump. Not sure if the base Doom had that or not, but either way, it looks hella good. And finally, to wrap things up, Bethesda couldn't just keep their hands off of the cloud cookie jar, and they're coming up with their own technology called Orion to bring us some more cloud bullshit that nobody has really asked for. But anyway, that is pretty much it for the recap. Like I said, it was going to be a very fast recap. Let me know if this was useful for you or not. Hit it up with a like button if it was useful. If you're new here, if you enjoy my content, hit that subscribe button, hit the bell notification icon, all of that good stuff. Thank you all very much for watching. Stay strong, and may your shields never break.